This sucks. Today we're going to be talking about the layoffs that are happening in the market right now and how unfortunately I've been impacted again. Let's get started. So if you've been following the tech industry and the job market right now, there's a lot of layoffs happening across the board, but especially in the tech industry, in big and small tech companies. Whenever there's a layoff or hiring freezes, the recruiting teams are first to be impacted and looked at. And that's what you're seeing across the board right now. And unfortunately, that's what happened to me. I found myself unemployed again, getting laid off, and it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. It feels really disheartening. It was one of my dream companies, one of my dream jobs. It's gonna take some time for me to get past it. I feel like I'm gone past it now that I can make this video even, but I can't pretend that it wasn't hard. Even though I've been through a layoff in the past, I should be equipped with the resources to get past it, but it doesn't mean that it's not gonna suck this time around and it doesn't hurt. That's where I find myself, but luckily I have the people around me to help me get past it this time, and I feel like I'm ready for whatever's to come next. With that, I would love to talk about the steps that I've taken already or I'm taking right now to get past the layoff in hopes that it can help somebody that's going through it themselves. So the first step is to take care of yourself. Within the first 24 hours to first few days or even a whole week, take the time to really take care of yourself, take the time to process the feelings that you're having and really understand your emotions and digest exactly what has happened. Everybody's gonna be different and have their own timeline, and of course if you are financially able to, take as long as you need. Remember to take the time to eat, remind yourself to drink water, sleep, get rest, shower even. It sounds ridiculous right now when I say it here, but it really can get that hard because a layoff can feel like your whole world was just rocked. You lost a part of you that was a big part of your day-to-day routine, as well as some people might even see it as their own identity. It feels like a bad breakup. It gets compared a lot, but it really is a really good comparison because it's a big shift in the world that you had known previously. Take the time that you need to really process that. It sucked for me, despite going through it myself. It's gonna suck, no matter how many times I go through it. Understand that it's gonna be hard, but it's okay. Everything that you're feeling is valid, and also find comfort knowing that you are not alone in this. Not that I would wish this on anybody. There was a bit of comfort knowing that there's some really great individuals out there, professionals that are going through it too and getting laid off, and that helped me understand and kind of take away the feeling of it being so personal and it being an indictment on my body of work or anything like that. So know that you're not alone through this. Hopefully that will help you. Another thing that you can do is to really unplug during this first phase. Take some time away from the LinkedIns. When you're seeing other people go through layoffs as well, it's not going to help your mental health and seeing how hard it might be to get a job right now. Just take a break, unplug, and then reset so that you don't just dive straight into the job search. That helped me immensely. As a bonus to step one, you want to apply for unemployment. You want to do this within your first week. Depending on where you are, it could be different. Over here in California, when you apply for unemployment, it doesn't go into effect until your first week in which you apply. And then there's actually a 1 week waiting period. You don't even get paid that first week, but you do get started in the process. And so I learned this the hard way when I went through the layoff in the past, and I felt so bad. I didn't want to even think about unemployment or applying for any of that. I took probably like around 2-3 weeks off, and before I even wanted to get back into it, I learned the hard way that it doesn't date back into the day that in which you first started your unemployment. Take it from me, apply for your unemployment as soon as possible, as soon as you're ready, within the first week. Step two is to understand your finances and cut back, aka trim the fat. Hopefully at this point you have what is called an emergency fund saved up. If you haven't started saving yet for an emergency fund, they say that the best time to start saving was yesterday, but that means that the next best time to start saving is today. Typically, I recommend 3 to 6 months of living expenses in case of an emergency, but during these times, the job market right now and how competitive it is, I'd recommend 6 to 12 months just in case it may take you that long to land again. Losing your source of income counts as an emergency, so you're going to be pulling from that emergency fund now. You're going to be using that pool. Additionally, that does count as a life qualifying event, and what that means is that if you have a partner who is covered under medical, vision, dental, they can add you onto their plan within 30 days of you losing your source of income. This can be an option for you, and it could be a better option even rather than paying for Cobra or Covered California or wherever it is that you are. This can be an option for you that can be cheaper out-of-pocket expenses so that you can be put under your partner's plan. That can be your spouse, your husband, your wife, domestic partner as well. So look into what your options are and see if you can can qualify and be put under their plan. Now you want to really understand your budget, understanding what to spend on and what are necessities. You also want to cut out anything that might be unnecessary, such as a monthly subscription to anything that you may not use as much as you did in the past. You can cut back on that. Or if you have a trip that is planned out sometime in the future, maybe you want to hold off on that trip because again, you just lost your main source of income and you're cutting back on unnecessary things. Any type of medical procedures, appointments, you want to make sure that you also move that forward. Give those offices a call, let them know your situation, and more likely than not, they're going to want to help move your appointment sooner rather than keeping it at that later date so that you can have your procedures and your appointments taken care of while you're still covered. If you are contemplating spending on anything at all, what helped me was asking myself if this is going to be something that contributes to my overall well-being or my happiness. And if it does, then it's okay to take that hit because I think that is well worth it. I'm not a financial advisor, so I won't tell you what to spend your money on and what not to spend your money on, but it's important to understand your new budget is going to be centered around what you're going to be getting from unemployment on top of what you have in regards to emergency funds. So make sure you are adjusting and staying within your means. Step 3A is to update your resume as soon as possible. Hopefully you've been doing this within maybe every quarter or so while you were employed of updating your resume. I know that's not the case for everybody, but that's the easiest time in which you can update your resume because while you still have access to your work computer and you have your projects readily available and you can pull metrics, that is going to be the easiest time to update your resume. But let's just say you aren't able to do that now and you've lost access. You want to make sure that you can update your resume as soon as possible while things are still fresh in your mind. This can be easy for you or difficult depending on the last time you update your resume. So if it had been a year or less even that since the last time you had to search for a job, then this may not take too long. But if it's been 5 years, 10 years, then this can take you some time. And so you want to make sure again that you want to do it ASAP so that things are still fresh in your mind. This is going to be very important for the next step and you're going to see why. Step 3B, talk to somebody. When you are ready, this can be your loved ones, this could be your family, this can be your friends, this can be your network. And this can also be a licensed professional such as a therapist. I know therapy isn't for everybody. I understand that. It can be cost, it could be the medium that it is, it can just be the stigma around it of feeling like it's a sign of weakness. But take it from me at least that I think therapy is a really great resource that anybody can use, and it does not mean any sign of weakness at all. If anything, it shows strength if you are willing to ask for help. If it's up to you and you're willing to, try to see if therapy can be an option for you. Talking to your network is something that's going to really help you in your job search, of course. It's going to be totally up to you on whether or not you let it be known publicly that you were impacted by the layoff. You can take the route of just doing it internally and messaging people or emailing them, or you can put it out there and make a post that you've been impacted, like many posts that you might see on LinkedIn right now. It took me a lot of time to feel the comfort to do this myself because to let it be known that I was impacted, I had a lot of shame, I had a lot of guilt behind that, and it was holding me back from posting it publicly. But finally, after talking to some of my loved ones and really well-respected individuals, I finally worked up the courage to put it out there. And once I did, I received such great encouragement, such great support, just help from people that were willing to help me and letting me know that they are willing to send referrals for me, sending me leads even, and just checking in on me. That was really helpful for me. Like Brene Brown said, shame can only live through secrecy, silence, and judgment. And how you overcome that is you talk about it with others. You reach out to a loved one and you share your story. Take away the power that shame holds on you. And so when I posted it, I felt such a relief and felt this weight lifted off my shoulders. Again, this is going to be different for everybody. You don't have to post it publicly or anything like that. This was my experience. I have no regrets on doing that. And I feel like I've gotten so much great support since. The reason this is 3B, updating your resume, was first is because once you let it be known in your network that you were impacted by a layoff, one of the first things that anyone is going to say to you really is, how can I help you? Or if you see any roles that you're interested in, send them to me and I'll be happy to refer you. You want to have your resume readily available in that moment so that if you did have something in mind, you're like, you know what, I I actually did have a role, and here's my resume, here's the link to that role. Do you mind referring me? Timing is a lot of it too in the job search. If you can get your resume in front of the right folks in a timely manner, that could be the difference right there on whether or not you get a conversation. Step 4A is to develop a plan or a routine. When you're without a job now or getting laid off especially, it can feel really easy to fall into a rut or become lazy or unmotivated or feel really defeated. But it's going to be very important that you take the time to now develop a schedule or routine so that you can keep yourself up and motivated. Without a job, you don't have an official schedule or anything like that. So now it's going to be up to you to set that. A time in which you wake up at the same time each day so that you can get enough rest. You also want to set times in which you're going to be applying and looking for jobs, times in which you're maybe reaching out to people, networking, getting a potential referral even. And then also you maybe want to set some time in which you're going to be working somewhere else, not just at home. Switch up the environment and get that motivation, such as maybe going to a cafe, somewhere that you can work. That can help you as well. Now that you don't have a job, looking for a job is going to be your new full-time job. And so now you need a plan for that so that you can come at it more efficiently. Additionally, you want to set at least maybe 1 to 2 hours a day in which you are developing yourself. Take that time to maybe tweak your resume, learn something new, develop a new skill, practice interview questions, prepare for any upcoming interviews. This is important because if you only spend your entire time just job searching and applying and then getting rejected, you're going to take a hit on your confidence because you may not get the results that you're looking for, especially in this job market right now. Put some time into developing yourself and up-leveling yourself so that you can become a more desirable candidate once you get an interview. Step 4B is to set goals in your job search. These can be small or large goals. Some small goals, for example, would be to apply to 3 to 5 roles a day, reaching out to maybe 3 people in your network or networking with at least 3 people in a day, and then hopefully getting at least 1 referral a day as well. Some large goals, for example, would be something like going to a networking event, making sure that you are going to be obtaining a 6-figure income in your next job, switch into a new industry, a new field in your next job, maybe even making sure that your next job is considered a promotion. Goals are going to be important in your job search because it will help keep you grounded and make sure that you are focusing on what will contribute to your goals and then drown out the noise and opportunities that don't. For example, if a role doesn't fit within the pay range that you're looking for, or maybe in the industry, you can say no to that opportunity rather than saying yes to the first one that comes about. This is also one of the luxuries that comes along with making sure that you had an emergency fund saved up so that you can have the ability to say no to an opportunity because it doesn't fit your goals. Step 5 is to reflect on your journey and your experience so that you can learn from it and then push forward. You're going to have to prepare your mindset through this process because it's going to be very hard and difficult. You're going to lack a lot of self-confidence. It's going to feel hard at first to update your items, talk to people about it. The sooner that you can understand that by reflecting on it, the better you will be prepared to move forward. A good way for me to do this is by journaling or meditating. This allows me to give my mind the time it needs to process what exactly happened, and so that I can remember and reflect on that. With all the distractions in today's day and age, we never really have a moment of silence in which we dedicate for our minds to really process what happened. And so when you put that time aside to do that, that will help you move forward. Another way that I'm able to obtain this reflection and understanding my impact is LinkedIn recommendations. I highly encourage LinkedIn recommendations to anyone who has been laid off. Reach out to folks that you've worked with in the past, that you've helped, and ask if they would write you a LinkedIn recommendation. This way, you can really understand the impact that you've had on others and how much you've helped them. You'd be really surprised to see what nice things people will write for you if you reach out and ask for that. And that personally has helped me a lot throughout the times in which I have self-doubt and I have a lack of confidence going into interviews. Even I can look at those recommendations again and it helps boost my confidence and helps remind me the impact that I've had on others. Another thing you want to understand, the job search itself is going to be very difficult. It could be long-winded. It could feel very defeating. You can get burnt out even if you aren't careful enough and you just keep going at it without getting results. So you want to make sure that you are prepared for that so that you know that rejections are going to come, getting ghosted, falling in love with some of your quote dream companies and not getting those. It could be really defeating. Knowing ahead that it's going to be hard will help you prepare your mind mentally for that so that you can be strong enough to take that in and then move forward from that. Some of the things you want to remind yourself during this process is that if you are getting rejected or you're even getting ghosted throughout interviews, know that at least you're getting interviews, and that means that you have what it takes. You have a resume that caught somebody's attention, out of hundreds or thousands of candidates, they wanted to speak to you. So even if you didn't get it, take that as a win so that you can understand, okay, I'm doing something right. Next thing you want to know or remind yourself is that you can only control what you can. You can only control who you are, what you bring to the table, how you interview. The last thing you want to remind yourself of is that comparison is the thief of joy. By comparing yourself to others who might be getting new jobs, getting promotions during this time, surviving a layoff even, that's just gonna weigh you down and hurt you even more in the long run. The only thing that you should be comparing yourself to, or the only person, is yourself. And if you're better than who you were yesterday, just strive for that every day. Bonus tip: your work does not really matter. In the world of layoffs, at the end of the day, your work does not really matter. You can be without access to your computer tomorrow, and everything that you stressed about, all the deadlines, working overtime, all the projects, it can just not matter anymore, because going forward, it's a thing in the past. What really matters from there are the things that you've accomplished and the connections that you've made. What I mean by this is to never let work overstress you or burn you out to the point in which you aren't prioritizing the things that really matter in your life, such as spending time with your loved ones, and most importantly, time for yourself and your well-being. This is just one of those things where if you've been impacted through a layoff, you will understand. That's gonna do it for the video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know it's a bit longer, but I think it was so important, especially with today's job market and so many people being impacted by layoffs. If it was useful for you, please give it a like and a subscribe, as it'll help me, someone who's newer to the YouTube scene, know what type of content will be useful for others. Catch you on the next one. Let's go win those interviews.